President Paul Biya echoes Cameroon's voice at the 6th replenishment conference of the Global Fund on HIV, tuberculosis and malaria. He's tete-a-tete with French President Emmanuel Macron and Cameroon's 3 billion CFA contribution in this newscast. The nationwide campaign against small ruminant plagues is underway in the Adamawa and Far North regions to reduce mortality rate of goat and sheep by 50% and to boost productivity. The World Egg Day is celebrated with spotlights on the benefits of eggs in human nutrition and to give a global presence to egg producers. How is the high-quality protein produced in Cameroon? Answers right ahead. Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin our 30-minute newscast with a balance sheet of the presidential couple's participation at the Global Fund Replenishment Conference in Lyon, France. The visit was marked by President Paul Biya's tete-a-tete with French counterpart Emmanuel Macron and Cameroon's contribution of 3 billion CFA francs to the Global Fund in the fight against HIV, tuberculosis and malaria. Ashunienti has more in this report.
The lion was in Lyon and returned unscarred but left a lasting impression. The participation of President Paul Biya at the Global Fund Replenishment Conference ended the way it started, in triumph. The presidential couple was given a most resounding reception from Cameroonians, not only those resident in Lyon. They also came from other French and European cities to show the presidential couple that Cameroonian patriots are with them.
Je suis la cofondatrice du MODEPA, le mouvement de défense de la patrie.
With the national dialogue, the head of state has just proven that he is one of the best on earth.
Il est l'un des meilleurs au monde.
I'm happy to receive the first couple for the first time in Lyon. I had to abandon all my activities to be here today. The president came to town for one purpose, to defend the interests of Cameroon, and this he did in an outstanding manner. Under Paul Biya's guidance and inspiration, Cameroon joined the very restrained club of benefactors of the Global Fund, and Cameroon did it big. The country parted with 3 billion francs CFA as its landmark contribution in these difficult economic times. Cameroon was, by that singular gesture, given a humbling lesson in international solidarity. For as the Bible says in Acts of the Apostles, chapter 20, verse 35, it is more blessed to give than to receive. But on that visit, President Biya killed 2 birds with 1 stone. The landmark audience with French President Emmanuel Macron on Thursday, October 10, also gave President Biya the opportunity to share the force of his experience with his French counterpart. The unrepentant who had envisaged perturbing the quiet stay of the first couple instead got a rebuff, as if to say, who sows the wind reaps the whirlwind. For an audience that was initially planned to last 30 minutes, it went for a quarter hour more, indicating that there was plenty of knowledge and information to share. Paul Biya did not only consolidate French support in various areas of mutual concern, but President Macron, who has begun to make his inroads into African politics, was only too happy that President Paul Biya is available to lend wise counsel. He had done that before. Little wonder that when seeing his guests off shortly after their fairly long tete-a-tete, Macron quipped, "Goodbye, my friend," accompanied by a broad and revealing smile. Did that not belly the accord parfait between the two statesmen, especially President Biya's magnanimous gesture to thaw the socio-political ice in Cameroon? In diplomacy, words are not mere words. They are not just spoken. They have content and a meaning. Their body language spoke volumes about their rapport and mutual esteem. And so it was in Lyon.
The major national dialogue to address the crisis in the Northwest and Southwest regions was marked by a couple of strong recommendations that should inspire the powers that be to come up with solutions. Amongst them is the possibility to grant a special status to the 2 crisis-stricken regions as stipulated in Section 62 of the Constitution. Ebenezer Akanga read through the recommendations in the final reports and now highlights some of the salient points.
A reading between the lines of recommendations of the major national dialogue show that the dialogue forum implicitly acknowledged the yearnings of the population of the northwest and southwest regions to have greater autonomy in the management of their affairs. The special status granted to the two regions illustrates this. Even delegates who came from the diaspora with the federalist option agree that the special status achieved for the two English-speaking regions is a good deal.
As a federalist, I came here seeking a 10-state federation. I am not disappointed that we didn't have a 10-state federation because we are living with something better than what we have now. Special status, I think that is amazing, and if it comes with complete autonomy, then I think we have it.
Another reading between the lines of recommendations of the major national dialogue show that the dialogue forum acknowledged apprehensions of the population of the northwest and southwest regions concerning the erosion of some aspects of the Anglo-Saxon heritage. So the dialogue forum recommended that the Anglophone subsystem of education and the common law judicial system coexist alongside the Francophone subsystem of education and civil law, without the one trying to absorb the other. This recommendation and others were taken to protect the uniqueness of the Anglo-Saxon education and judicial systems.
I'm so happy because this is something we have been longing for a long time. From the beginning of the dialogue, I didn't know that I was going to work. But seeing the Amazonian fighters surrendering their guns and coming every day, the dialogue became so excited. And I'm so happy that we have ended well.
The major national dialogue produced good results. But in theater, they will say the drama piece has been well rehearsed. It should be put on stage perfectly.
In a related development, the inhabitants of the Southwest region have been edified on the outcome of the major national dialogue that regrouped persons of all walks of life in and out of the country. In the course of a 2-hour radio program broadcast on the CRTV Southwest Regional Station and Mount Cameroon FM, 8 panelists who were part of the selected delegates of the dialogue expounded on the resolutions reached at. Tanjong Elvis Agbo has.
For over 2 hours, the panelists enlightened the public on the meaning of the spatial status for the northwest and southwest regions of the country. A decision arrived at the national dialogue. They equally gave an in-depth analysis on what was discussed in the 8 different commissions.
Strategies on how to get combatants lay down their arms and you move through a safe corridor to cantonment sites that will be located close to battlegrounds for them to surrender and start getting the necessary skills and information required for them.
The special status should take into consideration the historic peculiarities of the peoples of the northwest and southwest region and give it the powers which normally would have been given to a federal structure.
Some of the panelists hold of the opinion that the dialogue was not a monologue. To them, it was an avenue for the people of the northwest and southwest regions to express themselves on pertinent issues affecting the regions.
We expressed ourselves to the fullest in our own commission. In fact, this ended up with the creation or the preparation for a National Education Forum, where we are going to prepare a blueprint for education for the Anglophone subsystem of education.
At the end of the program, the panelists joined the moderator, Kange Williams Wasaloko, to celebrate his recent appointment as a senior reporter. The entire population of the Southwest region have been urged to be optimistic and continue hoping for lasting peace in the restive regions.
Away from the major national dialogue, the National Gendarmerie Road Safety Task Force has impounded several public transport vehicles this week for insurance policies that are not in conformity with the required prescriptions. While on the Yaoundé-Ebolova-Sangmelima stretch, they also checked the respect of speed limits, the roadworthiness of vehicles and the use of safety belts, as we hear in this report by Kilian Ndifon.
Accusations and counter-accusations from these three drivers, one of a trailer, the second of a truck, and a third of a bus, whose deviant behavior almost brought sorrow to many families for common highway code offenses.
We have a lot of used tires on the road. We have a lot of non-respect of speed limitation. Seat belts, people are not tying their belts.
Repression with corresponding penalties is their portion.
When somebody is caught on the way, he can pay instantly. But if he's not able to pay, we take the statement and then we forward the procedure to the State Council, who will take further measures.
This weekend, vehicles have been impounded in Balmayo for insurance documents that do not conform to the latest texts.
We had new instructions from our RIK concerning insurance attestation. From the 1st of January 2019, there is a new form of attestation. So the Minister of Finance wrote to the Secretary of State in charge of National Gendarmerie so that we can be controlling those things. We took at least 15 cars. We took statement and we leave them go because there were people traveling. We could not keep them.
Verify your insurance and other vehicle documents before you hit the highway to avoid inconveniences.
In one of our top stories, Cameroon joins the rest of the international community to celebrate World Egg Day with emphasis laid on the benefits of eggs in human nutrition. The day is expected to give a global presence to egg producers and to popularize egg consumption as part of a balanced diet. Alice Mbaye takes a look at how eggs are produced in our local community. Here's a report.
Industrial-scale eggs are produced by a species of fowl known as Rhode Island Reds. In Cameroon, both the public and private sector are involved in this business. Nkwe Seraphine, a private sector poultry owner, obtains her chicks from AgroCam when they are 2 weeks old. She feeds them for 50 days and they start laying eggs.
I began my poultry with 800 Rhode Island Reds. Each produce an egg per day, giving me about 800 eggs daily. That is 24 trays per day.
After each sales, she disinfects her poultry for 15 days before the next set of production.
To obtain good and healthy eggs, I disinfect my poultry after each sales to avoid bird diseases.
She earns a living from this business.
I make profits for my sales. This enables me to feed my family and keep me busy.
People consume more eggs nowadays, especially school children, because there are no bird disease. I make gains from my sales.
Egg dealers also face difficulties.
Some chicks die during the reproductive process, and it's a big loss for me. Trays of eggs might get broken, causing more loss.
The less expensive protein product is rich in vitamins and minerals. In Yaoundé, an egg costs 60 to 75 francs. An avial of egg from 1,500 to 1,800 francs, depending on their sizes.
The egg is an incredibly versatile ingredient for both sweet and savory dishes. All over the world, chefs make extensive use of the egg in the traditional cuisine. The source of low-calorie and high-quality protein is an indispensable item in most bakeries around Yaoundé. Joyce Tata went out finding just how important the egg is for pastries. This is what she brought back.
In our today's society, eggs are consumed in different ways depending on individual preferences. To some, eggs could be fried, boiled, but are more important to bakers who say the existence of bakeries in some way depends on the availability of eggs.
Les œufs ont la 3e place dans la pâtisserie.
Eggs occupy the 3rd position in pastry after flour and sugar. The importance of eggs to us here at the bakery is that it helps soften pastry product. We can't have them without including eggs on the list.
The oval-shaped product of hens, to them, is a do-or-die need as it is being used in most of the items sold.
It adds some quality to our product. We can't have cakes without eggs. Aside from cakes, we also use eggs to do sugar balls, bread.
Customers who troop in bakeries on most occasions buy foodstuffs having eggs as part of the ingredients because they say there is a treasure hidden in them.
I eat fried eggs, boiled eggs, and equally food made using eggs, like cake, because I know they are a good source of proteins.
As the world celebrates eggs this October 13, bakers say it is an ever-present stock in their cuisines, vital in many of their recipes.
In other news, small ruminants breeders in the Adamawa region have been challenged to freely vaccinate their flock against plagues in order to reduce mortality rates. The call was made by Governor Kildadi Tagike Buka during the official launch of the campaign organized by the Ministry of Livestock, Fisheries and Animal Industries in partnership with the World Bank. Celestine Sumbele has the details.
Rearing small ruminants such as sheep and goats is a source of livelihood for many in the Adamawa region. In order to ensure food self-sufficiency and availability of meat and dairy products due to small ruminant pests, a free vaccination campaign has been launched in Gaundori.
This disease is a terrible disease that can decimate up to 90% of animals when it attacks. We are asking all the population to come along with their animals because this vaccination is free of charge.
Organized by the Ministry of Livestock, Fishery and Animal Industry under the framework of PRODEL funded by the World Bank, the campaign seeks to reinforce government action in the eradication of common pests in Cameroon, an initiative highly lauded by the Adamawa's governor.
The population came out in mass and they have followed the message we have dished out, and I do hope that within the shortest time Adamawa region will be having all his animals, small goats and sheep will be vaccinated.
Providing an immediate and effective response to cases of emergency in the livestock sector targets the vaccination of 600,000 small ruminants in the Adamawa to improve the production of small ruminant breeders.
Over in the far north, some 4 million goats and sheep are targeted for vaccination in the region where small ruminant pests are a major cause of death. Scores of breeders gathered in the locality of Gazawa in the Mari division to pledge their adherence to the campaign and to make available the animals for vaccination. Teke Julius has the details.
The small ruminant pest, scientifically called pest de petit ruminant, PPR, is a highly contagious viral disease affecting goats, sheep and wild ruminants in the far north region, just like in Africa and Asia. Experts say the administration of a live attenuated vaccine, which provides strong immunity, is the most effective means of controlling the disease besides the disinfection of contaminated environment. Conscious of the devastating effects of the disease, the Livestock Development Project of the Ministry of Livestock, Fisheries and Animal Industries has mobilized close to 800 vaccinators in the far north region to vaccinate some 4 million sheep and goats within a period of 1 month.
The team of vaccinators will go house to house, village to village to vaccinate all the small ruminants, and then we will be able to control and eradicate PPR in our region. That campaign is free of charge.
The launching of the campaign took place at the premises of the office of the divisional officer for Gazawa subdivision, where more than 1,000 goats and sheep were vaccinated, with the chief of cabinet at the governor's office, Mr. Adamu, taking turns to lead vaccinators to effectively carry out the exercise, whose principal objective is to keep these small ruminants healthy to better fight against poverty in the far north region. Breeders have therefore been called upon to make their animals available for the vaccination campaign as a measure of eradicating the disease.
In this philanthropic move, the inhabitants of Fumben have been honored with a donation of building material for the construction of a mosque and for the rehabilitation of some classrooms. The benefactor is the Minister Delegate for Transport, Zakariawu Njoya, who used the occasion to enjoin the people to vote in their numbers during upcoming elections. Ngo Henry Tesambe was there and now reports for the 7:30 News.
This is Government Practicing School Group 3A in Fumban. According to the head teacher of the institution, it was on last May that heavy winds destroyed the roofs of 2 classrooms of the school. Ernest Francois Ndogmo said it has been very difficult to accommodate pupils this school year. During a visit on the campus, the minister delegate to the Minister of Transport offered some 150 roofing sheets to the school. Minister Zakaria Unjoya also donated some 100 bags of cement for the construction of the Njindari Central Mosque in Fumban. He said it was to promote the education of young boys and girls and the peace in the entire Noon division. The minister has called on his kith and kin to be law-abiding and contribute to nation building.
We cannot be alone. That's why we are called upon all the elite, the youth, and the parents to be together to participate in the development of our country.
Accompanied by big wigs of the CPDM party in the Noon, Minister Zakaria Unjoya also called on the people of the division to vote massively during upcoming elections in the country. He took time off to visit some party officials who contributed to the voter registration in the division and the bereaved families.
Youth in the littoral region have been sensitized on the dangers of indulging in sports bets and other games of chance. Initiated by the Foundation of Consumers in Cameroon, educative talks were organized in some academic institutions where young people have the tendency to engage in deviant behavior. Larry's Nane Porte reports on the action led by Honorable Mali's Douala Bell.
Gambling is prohibited to minors, protect them. This is a slogan that drives the awareness-raising campaign carried out in schools by La Fondation Camerounaise des Consommateurs to shun the participation of youths in games of chance.
You parents must be very attentive. You have to love your children, so to put them in the right conditions.
Theft, consumption of tobacco and drugs, insertion into a gang of criminals are some of the scourges to which minors who engage in sports betting or illegal games such as Njambo and Bali, as fondly called, are exposed to. An issue which, according to Honorable Mali's Douala Bell, needs the support of parents to combat. While waiting for these measures to be applicable, some 13 agents were installed to continue the sensitization campaign in other schools in Douala.
We have the agent, we will go to the school and sensitize all the children to tell them that gambling have many dangers. Poor performance academic, you have drug consumption.
Meantime, government was urged to control operators of this gaming business to locate themselves at least 1 kilometer away from school premises and for operators to oblige the provision of identification cards from customers to totally exclude minors from gaming.
In religious news, the Oja Sinai Chapel of the Kribi Consistory has been elevated to a parish during a solemn service officiated by Reverend Pastor Calvin Etoile. The Christians were urged to keep the faith in God and to contribute towards the development of the parish. Church elders were dedicated and no deacons ordained, as we hear in this report by Natasha Lehman-Losha.
It was a special day at the Oja Sinai Chapel Kribi Consistory, which has been elevated to a parish after 7 years of existence. Parishioners filled with joy raised their voices to the Almighty, thanking Him for the blessing. The scripture of the day was drawn from the book of Matthew, chapter 26, verse 6 to 13, and the faithful were exhorted to join their heads for the development of the parish.
The chapel wants the people of God. When you have people, all go in the good way. I say to all the Christians of Oja Sinai to work together, and that God will be glad.
Church elders, deacons and deaconesses ordained recently were also installed in the course of the event.
It's very difficult for a Christian community to become a parish. We did it in 7 years. So it's something very great we have achieved. So we are very proud, we are very happy of what we have done. And we just thank God for everything.
Gospel artist John Dushan was present to accompany the Oja Sinai Parish in celebrating and glorifying God for this new status.
In a running series in Japan, we spotlight a rally codenamed Family Power, which has brought together more than 40,000 persons at the Nagoya Sky Expo. The event, organized by the Universal Peace Federation, is intended to teach the values of a united family as well as to remind participants of God's original idea of a family. Charles Ebune was part of the rally in Japan and now reports.
Once totally covered by a waterway, today totally filled by a sea of individuals, we are at the plus 40,000 capacity Nagoya Sky Expo Arena in Japan, and the uniting factor is the Family Federation for Peace and Unification International Rally.
Family is the root and is the base of humankind. Everything starts within a family. When family are healthy, you have a healthy society, you have a healthy nation.
The Nagoya Sky Expo, where more than 40,000 people are inside this hall to listen to the founder of the Unification Church talk about Jesus and her mission throughout the world and making a call for peace for humanity.
The performance by the young people in their thousands tells the story of how they are trained by the Federation for Peace Church family policy to be disciplined.
What you witnessed yesterday, about 20,000 couples coming together to vow, to pledge fidelity, loyalty to one another.
The co-founder of this movement, Hak Jahan Moon, then comes to the stage with a talk for people to respect God's will and teachings.
A family is one man, one woman, and obviously the children.
And more than 10,000 families are blessed in terms of marriages to sustain the idea that only a well-structured family can be a source of peace for communities.
Back in the country, the National Cultural and Artistic Seasonally launch in the Northwest region has ended with artists calling for incentives to develop their work and for the return of peace in the region. The closing ceremony, attended by Governor Adolfo de l'Afrique and other dignitaries, saw the election of the Miss and Master Rekan. Mercy Kusi comes back to some of the exciting moments that characterize the cultural and artistic jamboree in the Northwest region.
At the cultural village of the National Art and Culture Season in Bamenda, those young men have their heads bended on a blank paper on which they scribble lines using a pencil. The end product is this image of a jar with the map of Cameroon and a peace plans in it. A drawing, they say, bears a deeper meaning from what the eyes behold.
I am passing across as a message to Cameroon that no matter what we are up, no matter what is the challenges, peace still remains the priority.
Few steps away are these young women who have on display fruits and vegetables grown around the Northwest. Both women educate visitors to their stance on the importance of nutrition and well-being.
We do body scrub, we do facials, we do massage, we do relaxation massage. People that have nerves problem. So that's how we gather all together to bring it in our health.
Third day of Rekan in the Northwest was dedicated to a beauty pageant, and the makeup artists have been busy all day with the runners-up.
Makeup is something that is very vital in our society. It's very important in our society. We can fit it into various domains, things like culture, acting, movies. It's meant to highlight some certain things, like it brings out the emotions, the characters you're trying to portray.
A runway parade crowns the day at the conference room of the Northwest Regional Delegation of Arts and Culture, with Chair Akonri Lum and founder Nana Patrick emerging as Mr. and Miss Rekan 2019.
Our artist of the week is a gospel singer, Princess Maureen Ojong. After singing for several decades, the mother, teacher, and musician has just released her first album. Titled Not My Head, Not My Blood, the 6-track album tells of the goodness of God and His everlasting mercy. Emmanuel Lamvemue profiles the artist.
So let us give thanks unto the mighty King. Jesus won a battle and gave us victory.
She sings the praises of He to whom she owes her entire being, God Almighty. And our Princess Maureen picked up thanks to her environment.
I realized that talent was inborn. Around 9 years old, I find myself composing songs, and up to now, I think I have more than 100 songs that I've composed for the glory of God.
Singing about the goodness of God in her life, according to this mother and teacher by profession, is to manifest the wonders of God.
Some people trusted in their uncles, their family, and they got disappointed. So God gave me a message for such people and people who are longing to know God the more. Tell them that He, God, is the Almighty, that they need to trust in God, and God will never abandon them. So all my inspiration, all my songs are coming from the Word of God.
After so many years of struggling to get her album released, the passionate singer has had a headway, the launch of her first album.
This album, Not My Head, Not My Blood, is a miracle from God. I've been longing to come out with an album, and every day I will cry before God, oh God, you have given me a talent, you have given me a gift. God, give me the finance to come up with this album. And I went down on my knees, I cried to God bitterly, and God just did it miraculously. God opened financial doors, people that I don't even know, from east, west, north, south. They just pumped into the whole issue, and the album is out. It's a miracle. I give glory to the Almighty God.
So many plans on the pipeline. Gospel music for the soul, but messages for a change of life. That is Princess Maureen's driving force.
Now on to sports. Stade Rennais of Melon are the winners of the 2019 Fecafoot Super Cup. They defeated UMS of Loom 3-1 to become champions this evening at the Bafoussam Omisport Stadium in Kwekong. Chanceline Nanze tells us more.
Of Melon had an edge during the first half, creating several goal-scoring chances, facilitated by UMS of Loom's defensive blunders. 10 minutes into the game, a defensive error from Bertengamalo sent the ball into the back of the net of UMS, and it was 1 goal in favor of Stade Rennais. UMS of Loom made several futile attempts to equalize, but Stade Rennais pressed on, and at the 27th minute, quiet Turco Jordan netted in the second goal for Stade. A 44th minute own goal by Captain Joel Etoge of UMS of Loom saw Stade Rennais leading 3-0 at the end of the first half. Spectators at the Kwekong Omnisport Stadium felt the presence of UMS during the second half of the encounter as they dominated, created several scoring opportunities but ended up squandering them. Substitute Cedric Gar scored UMS of Loom's lone goal at the 85th minute, taking the final score to 3-1 in favor of Stade Rennais of Melon. Rennais fans are in football heavens, with their team having secured the 2019 Fecafoot Cup.
In under 30 minutes, join Karine Olivia Beats for the news in the French language. Our programs continue on the CRTV. Tomorrow, you'll be in the company of Ben Meno Pufong. Meantime, have a beautiful and a fulfilled week ahead. Good night.